It's time to call the meeting to order. Okay, is there anyone in the audience who would like to address the board?
Yes, ma'am. I'd like to address the board concerning the matter of the allegations on the school teacher. When all this first came up at the Huntsville school, it was quite clear that she had altered 2 drug tests, and they found urine in her pocketbook.
Yes, sir.
Why was she not immediately dismissed?
She was tenured personnel, and I followed the laws set forth by the tenure policies through the Scott County Board of Education, also with Tennessee Code of Annotated, and with the TSBA, Tennessee School Board Association. At that point in time, she was suspended. Policy was put in place at that time that I'd say would go above and beyond, Mr. Bailey, is what any other tenured personnel does. And she has been following those policies at that time.
No, she hadn't. I mean, she really hadn't. This board, correct me if I'm wrong, this board has a zero tolerance policy for the students. Am I correct?
Yes, sir.
If a student walked in that schoolhouse with a pill or a pocket knife, they're out the door. Is that correct?
Yeah, they are suspended for 1 calendar year. They have right to an appeal also too, sir.
And the same rules should apply for your teachers.
Yeah, there were no drugs with her on that day or at any time, sir.
But she did admit to taking them.
She admitted she had, not at that time, no, sir. At that time on drug, you talking about on that, sir?
When she was at the Huntsville Elementary School, according to the paper, she admitted to taking Suboxone, Tramadol,
She has
and
a
marijuana.
prescription. She has a prescription for the Suboxone, sir.
So,
She has a prescription for the Suboxone.
what about the Tramadol and marijuana?
The Tramadol was not in the drug screen.
Nothing was, she ordered them.
Now, there was one that's given later, sir.
Let me say that you have a board policy, which is 5.200 that governs this situation. Anytime a teacher is charged with a criminal offense, there is a process that is governed by your policies. I have consulted with the director. He is following that policy. She has been charged criminally, so we know that. So she has, is my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Hall, that she has been suspended indefinitely until an investigation is completed. There has not been a preliminary hearing in this case, so
She also has a right to due process.
she has a right to due process. So I don't think any decision has been made, and I don't want to jump in here, but Mr. Hall, in my opinion, has followed your policy that you have adopted that has been recommended by TSBA and is consistent with the TCS code to a T at this point. So no decision has been made, but we have to follow the policy and we have to follow the Tennessee state law.
And let me also say, through every process, I've consulted with the Tennessee Organization of School Superintendents, Chuck Cagle, and that was even on last year also too, sir.
Let me ask one more question, if
Yes.
I may, please, and I'll
Yes.
get out of the way. It's my understanding that her teaching certification only required her to teach up to the 8th grade. Was she teaching high school students?
She was teaching high school, she was, but that's an alternative class setting that can be used under that certification.
Is there anyone else would like to address the board?
Yes. A couple years now, we've come and filmed the high school graduation. I called last year at the end of the year here to get on the agenda, and Bill talked with me and said, no, I'll take care of it. Well, I let it go. Both times, well, 2 or 3 times, we're setting us way up here, if you'll come in, if you've been to the graduation, we're up here in the nosebleed section, and the other media crew's down here on the floor. Been done twice. And not only that, this time, they allowed our competition to do it live.
Excuse me?
Do it live. And we were not asked. And all I ask was to be treated equal. That's all.
Yes, sir.
I'm just trying to film the children, give it back to the parents. And up in the nosebleed section, everybody standing up over the camera, and everybody else filming, kind of makes, it hurts my feelings.
Let me,
And as a business, it hurts us too.
yes, I do understand, let me say, when you called, you was also offered the same access. Our technology department were the ones that were filming down on the floor. So we offered to give you that, sell that back to you, same, with the same, with the same deal and the same that was offered to the other ones. All done with the same, sorry.
Back to the position. They were right down there, our competition, right down there, filming right on the side of the stage and down on the floor. And yet we're one camera right up here in the nosebleed section again for the second, third year. And all I'm asking is just to be treated equal, not below. We've been here since 1994, before. And we went to the playoffs and everything, paid the money, and was there for the kids and the parents. All I'm asking was just be treated equal, and I feel I was.
That money goes to Tito West Glade, that doesn't come back to the school for the playoffs. The school, you said you paid the money for the
Well, I paid the
playoffs.
money, yeah, but I paid, what I'm saying is, I paid the money to
Yeah.
go follow through.
Yeah.
It's not that, no, I didn't go to school, paid to follow through to stay with the kids' games where everybody else stopped.
Yes.
And all I'm saying here today is, 23 years, all I'll ask is just to be treated equal, or just tell me that up front, and I just won't come out there and get in the way.
Ms. Reagan, was it correct that our technology department were the ones that were filming?
They
and
were.
They've accessed also to both? Is
They
that
were.
correct?
I spoke with Mr. Hall on the Thursday, not the Thursday before graduation, the week before, the
Can I
4th.
ask you,
And
not put me down?
What I asked you to do was to come on Friday before
They did.
graduation
They
between
did.
the hours of 10:30 and
They
4.
did.
And to set up, at that time, when there's nobody in the gym, he could basically see the layout, choose where he wanted to set his camera at that point, so that, again, I let him know that that time we would have to have cords put down, all that stuff to make sure, because you can't do that on graduation day with all the people
23
in the
years, I
gym.
know this.
And gave the time gave the time for him to be able to do that. On Friday after graduation, I had a student that came to me that had the tripod and said that she had the tripod there to set it up. I said, that's perfect, that's great, where do you want to set it up at? She said, I have no idea, they simply sent me with the tripod. She had no idea at that time. I said, well, would you find out, is somebody else coming? She said, let me check. She left, was gone for about 2 hours, and then came back with the tripod and said, I guess we're supposed to set it up where we normally do. And again, at this point, it's 1:30 in the afternoon on the Friday before. I don't know where they want it set. And so I guess that's where it ended up. But again, the access was there. They could have come in any time between the hours of 10:30 and 4 and set that up. And again, the gym would have been empty. They could have seen what the layout was and set that at any place that they wanted to set it at
No.
that time.
No,
Did you come to do that?
they come at 10:30 and you had someone to set them up where they always set
No,
up.
no, that's
Yeah.
not, no,
I'll bring it out here
absolutely
next
not. I'm
meeting,
sorry.
my camera person.
I'm sorry, that's
Good.
not true.
Okay,
Plain and simple.
Thank you.
you're not.
No,
Anyone else?
no, you're not gonna call me on my name.
So I've got it.
I'm not gonna have it.
Okay, we'll move on to the principals. Ms. Crabtree.
I don't have anything, just going on business as usual, trying to get the testing scores back in. Hopefully that STDV stuff will get done this week. My ball teams are, in Oak Ridge planning tournaments today, so that's where I was, and traffic is bad, so don't get on the interstate unless you just really have to. But other than that, we're just moving right along, getting stuff ready for the next school year.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Stanley.
Well, like Ms. Tanya said, we think we're a little bit closer to getting test scores back. We do have SDDV finished, so hopefully those scores will be coming in really soon. I do know that some of the scores have come in across the state to some of the schools, so ours should be in very soon. Our custodians are working hard. They're making really good progress on the floors and the rooms, getting the buildings in order for the new year to start. And we do have the ASP counselors. They have already moved in. They're super, super nice. And we'll have the first group of volunteers. There will be approximately 80 of those that will come in this weekend. And they'll be getting ready to go out into the community and do some good work, I think, there. That's all I have.
Thank you. Ms. Goodman?
Well, like they said, we've been closing down and getting ready for the upcoming school year. Janitors are working hard in the classrooms, getting the floors and everything ready. Working on SCDV and all the linkage and finishing up everything with testing, and that's about what's going on right now. Any questions for me?
Thank you. Ms. Newman?
Thank you. Well, this was the first full week of our Read to Be Ready grant classes, and we're going strong, and I know Mr. Owens will be very glad when that name is not mentioned anymore before him. But it's a great program. We're so thankful to have gotten that grant. And I know Miss Diane has been there twice this week reading to the students. So they put on a great puppet show today, so they're really having a good time. The 26th of this month, we will have our redelivery for the standards. We have people who are going on the 20th and 21st. To be part of the new standards training. They will come back and we deliver that to our staff on the 26th. And then the last week in June and the second week in July, we are hosting the group who always does the camp down at the Robbins play area, and they go out in the community and do build things and go to the local churches. We're hosting them those 2 weeks. They'll be staying in our building. They'll be helping our custodians a little bit, and they're also going to build us a new stair walkway up to the football field and a new press box for our football field. So we're very thankful to have them, and that's all I have, unless you have questions for me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Nash?
I really don't have anything other than what everybody else has been saying. Our Read to Be Ready program started Monday. It's going really well. Kids have really been enjoying themselves. One thing that hasn't been mentioned is grade cards. Grade cards are available. They're already printed. Parents are more welcome to stop by school and pick them up during the week. Or also they can get on the internet and print them out and look at their child's grades through the Power School account. So that's all I have, unless you guys have anything for me.
Thank you. Ms. Rector?
Thank you. I do want to let everybody know that our quick score reports did come through from those EOCs. I know that the last time that we had our work session, we were still waiting on those. Those did come through. We were able to go ahead and get grades finalized because we did count those in with their scores from the, or the grades from the spring semester. So all of those grades have been finalized. Grade cards were sent out. We sent one batch out on Monday, one batch out on Tuesday. So all of those grade cards have been finalized, printed, and mailed home, but they're also accessible through Power School. So our grades are finally complete. That was quite a task in order to do that. Summer school has started at the high school. The summer school started on Monday. It does run until the 29th, Monday through Thursday from 8 until 2. That is through our Leaps Douglas Cherokee program that I talked about at the work session again. So we're really glad that we're able to offer that through them. We do have several students attending. Some students will only be there for a short while. Some students will be there for the entire time, but it does give them an extra opportunity to finish up maybe that little bit of work that they didn't quite get finished before school was out, so that they can earn those credits. I did get a preliminary number. I don't think I can share that with you just yet, but we did get preliminary numbers on our graduation rate for this cohort. That's a good thing. All arrows point to improvement on that. We're very excited about that. Again, we'll have to kind of wait until those numbers are finalized to see the exact number there. But it looks like we are continuing to hold our own as far as the graduation rate goes. That's all that I have, unless you all have any questions for me.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. I would like to touch base just a little bit on Ms. Rector's graduation rate. Kind of got the preliminary numbers herself also too. Right now, looking like 94.5%. We're more than likely in line, it's going to be like 93, 93.5, what we're thinking once everything is in and settled. But that's still on an all-time high right there for our graduation rate. So that is really good, and we've had a continued improvement with that. And guys, if I may, I did want to spend this time touching base on our incident that we had with our teacher, Ms. Light. Very unfortunate incident for our school, very embarrassing incident for our school, for our system. I was contacted on Wednesday, last Wednesday, the 31st, was aware of the investigation that was going to take place with Scott County Sheriff's Department and the Department of Children's Services at that time. Of course, I already had a trip to be planned out of town with my son, but I was in contact the entire time. Was aware of everything that went on and dealt with the problem as when I got back. I would say too that I have followed TSBA law, the Scott County School Board Association, along with Tennessee Code annotated throughout every process. And I've also been consulted with Mr. Chuck Cagle on the Tennessee Organization of School Superintendents throughout. And I follow the law throughout the entire process. This lady is suspended indefinitely at this point in time. My decision will be made further upon the allegations, which are contributing to the delinquency of a minor, and also the tamper with evidence. At that point in time, like I said, she does have a right to due process. She can appeal my final decision when that decision will be done. The suspension cannot last no more than 90 days according to law. So at that point in time, we do have time to let the investigation fully play out, and then I will make a decision to this board upon that. And that's all I have. And guys, it's very unfortunate. I know it's been hard on everyone, especially our public, especially our kids. So that's all I have, Michelle. No questions for me.
Thank you. Item 7, adoption of the agenda. In accordance with Board Policy Number 1.403, the Scott County Board of Education should adopt an agenda of all items to be acted on during the regular monthly meeting of June the 8th, 2017. May I have a motion to approve the June the 8th, 2017 agenda? I'll make that motion.
Second.
Any discussion? Waiting on the roll call.
Ms. Sharp.
Aye.
Mr. Stanley.
Aye.
Mr. Thompson. Aye. Mr. Silcox.
Aye.
Ms. Smith.
Aye.
Ms. Kidd. Ms. Abbott.
Aye. Item 8, consent agenda items. In accordance with the Scott County Board of Education, policy number 4.403, the Board of Education may include routine and non-controversial items on a consent agenda, which may be adopted by a single vote without discussion. Any item on the consent agenda may be removed and placed on the regular agenda for further consideration at the request of any board member. May I have a motion to approve the items listed on the consent agenda as follows? A, approval of the minutes for May the 11th, 2017, and special call meeting on May the 30th, 2017. B, approval of the bills and financial report for April of 2017.
Motion.
Second.
Any discussion? Waiting on the roll call.
Ms. Smith.
Aye.
Mr. Thompson.
Aye.
Mr. Silcox. Ms. Sharp.
Aye.
Ms. Abbott.
Aye.
Mr. Stanley.
Aye.
Item 9A, use of school facilities. The Huntsville Volunteer Fire Department has asked permission to use the Huntsville Middle School football field as the base of operation for detonating fireworks during the Fireman's Fourth Festival planned for July the 4th, 2017. May I have a motion to allow the Huntsville Volunteer Fire Department to use the Huntsville Middle School football field as the site for detonating fireworks during the Fireman's Fourth Festival on July the 4th, 2017. Permission will be subject to the town of Huntsville producing evidence of adequate liability insurance coverage of the Huntsville Middle School during the event and a signed agreement that all debris will be cleaned from the area following the close of the festival.
Motion.
Second. Any discussion? Waiting on the roll call.
Mr. Silcox.
Aye.
Ms. Sharp.
Aye.
Ms. Smith.
Aye.
Ms. Abbott.
Aye.
Mr. Stanley. Mr. Thompson.
Aye.
Item 9B, Goodwill Industries contract. The school board needs to approve the contract with Goodwill Industries. This is a continuing contract that allows students to receive school-to-work experience. May I have a motion to continue the contract with Goodwill Industries for the 2017-2018 school year.
Motion?
Second.
Any discussion? Waiting on roll call.
Ms. Smith?
Aye.
Mr. Stanley?
Aye.
Mr. Thompson?
Aye.
Mr. Silcox? Ms. Sharp? Ms. Abbott?
Aye. Item 9C, Tennessee School Board's Risk Management Trust Intergovernmental Cooperative Agreement. The Scott County Board of Education is a current member of the Risk Management Trust Intergovernmental Insurance Pool operated by TSBA. The governing body for the trust has requested that the local school boards approve an intergovernmental cooperative agreement dealing with membership in the trust to include coverage in the property and casualty program and workers' compensation program. May I have a motion to approve the Tennessee School Board's Risk Management Trust Intergovernmental Cooperative Agreement for the 2017-2018 school year?
Motion.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second it, but I wanted to talk about it.
Okay, any
Just-
discussion?
Yeah.
Okay.
John, is this saying our workman's comp and so on, like, that has to come through this trust? Is that what we're saying here?
Yes, I mean, it's been coming through this trust in the past, and this is the time for the renewal, yes.
Okay. And we're good, Ben? Okay, I'm good.
We approve, you approve now, the bill comes right at the end of the month, and if we pay it by the 10th of July, we do get like a 15%,
Okay.
and that covers us through the whole year.
But this is your recommendation and we're good. Yep, I'm
Yes, it
good.
is.
It usually comes up this time of the year.
Same time every year.
Yeah.
Is there any more discussion? Waiting on the roll call.
Mr. Silcox? Ms. Smith?
Aye.
Ms. Sharp? Ms. Abbott?
Aye.
Mr. Stanley?
Aye.
Mr. Thompson?
Aye.
Item 9D, approved Alloquy agreement. The Children's Health and Maintenance Plan is administered through the Alloquy organization and provides dental screenings for students in the Scott County school system. Alloquy is requesting access to student TCAP and attendance data in order to analyze the relation of dental scores to school performance. May I have a motion to approve the Children's Health and Maintenance Plan agreement with Alloquy for the 2017-2018 school year?
I'll make that motion.
Any discussion? Waiting on the roll call.
Mr. Thompson?
Aye.
Ms. Sharp? Ms. Abbott?
Aye.
Mr. Stanley?
Aye.
Mr. Silcox? Ms. Smith?
Aye.
Item 9E, approved pre-K grant. Board approval is needed to continue the pre-K grant. May I have a motion to approve the continuation of the pre-K grant for the 2017-2018 school year?
Motion. Second.
Any discussion? Waiting on the roll call.
Mr. Silcox? Mr. Thompson?
Aye.
Ms. Smith?
Aye.
Ms. Sharp? Ms. Abbott?
Aye.
Mr. Stanley?
Aye.
Approved discretionary grants. The Department of Education has announced that funds will be made available for the 2017-2018 school year to supplement the cost of progress monitoring students with disabilities. May I have a motion to approve the following special education grants for the 2017-2018 school year? The IDEA discretionary supplemental funds.
I'll make that motion.
Go ahead.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Waiting on the roll call.
Ms. Sharp? Ms. Smith?
Aye.
Mr. Silcox? Mr. Thompson?
Aye.
Mr. Stanley?
Aye.
Ms. Abbott?
Aye. Item 9G, approved behavioral contract. The Scott County School District needs to contract with Dara Klein, PhD, to provide behavioral management services for special education children. May I have a motion to contract services with Dara Klein, PhD, to provide behavioral management services for special education children referred to her by the special education supervisor. The contract will begin August the 1st, 2017 until May the 30th of 2018.
Motion. Second.
Any discussion? Waiting on the roll call.
Mr. Stanley?
Aye.
Mr. Silcox?
Aye.
Ms. Smith?
Aye.
Ms. Sharp? Ms. Abbott?
Aye.
Mr. Thompson?
Aye.
Item 9H, award bids. The school nutrition program requested the Scott County Finance Committee advertise for bids for milk and ice cream products. The following bids were opened at the Finance Committee meeting and referred to the board for their consideration. Milk, Mayfield Farms LLC, and Prairie Farms Dairy, and Borden Dairy Company. And ice cream, Mayfield Dairy Farms LLC, and Prairie Farms Dairy. May I have a motion to award the following bids for the 2017-2018 school year? Milk, Mayfield Farms LLC, and ice cream, Mayfield LLC.
I make that motion.
Second.
Any discussion? Waiting on the roll call.
Mr. Thompson?
Aye.
Mr. Silcox?
Aye.
Ms. Smith?
Aye.
Ms. Sharp? Ms. Abbott?
Aye.
Mr. Stanley?
Aye.
Item 9I, board policy. Approval is needed by the board to amend board policies. May I have a motion to approve the following amended board policy? Second reading of policy number 6.411, student wellness and standard operational procedure.
Go make that motion.
I hear a second.
I'll second.
I'd like to discuss that with you.
Any discussion?
Well, just pointed out a few things that we might need to look at again, and that's on the discipline part. Do we need to wait till the third reading on that? Or?
This policy needs to be passed by June 30th, according with the state. Is that right? Was you on that committee that passed that on through?
I was on the committee, but due to, once the meeting was changed and I could not attend to that. I attended one of the meetings, there were 3, but after getting into it, there was something that I did have a question on, that's on the discipline. And it more refers to middle school students, how we're supposed to discipline and trying to, it says something about not being able to have children lose a recess as a way of discipline. And, you know, there's just sometimes there, that's about the only thing you got left to do. And I did talk to Mr. Shoemaker about this. He said there are other options
That the principals can use,
that
is that correct?
principals can use. So, I have a little concern about it.
I think-
And as one of the principals pointed out, you know, principals really have a hard time with middle school students. You know, how we get them to do what we're wanting them to do. And as a middle school teacher, I know that I didn't do that often, but occasionally I had to do that. And I do understand that some teachers may abuse that a little bit. But there's sometimes that's about the only thing you can withhold from a student to get some cooperation.
Let me say with the policy, the committee Mr. Shoemaker had in place, I think he offered up to 30 people to sit on the committee. Is that correct, Mr. Shoemaker? He got the guidance that comes straight from the state as far as on that is what was given to us as far as how we can adopt our policy.
But that is not state mandated, that
It is
recesses
not.
have to be taken away.
It is not, and it's not state managed. You have to do that also. You manage your school. There are other options.
What are the other options?
That'll be up to the principal on that situation.
Can I state something, Mr. Hall?
Yes, you can.
It is state mandated on how much time we have to give them for their time. Now, if you're gonna get into this, you know, we're still gonna take the recess time well, you're gonna have to digitally or somehow keep track of every student's time that you allow them to have the physical activity time to meet that law that states they have to have so much time per week. And so, by the guide of the state and all the meetings that we've been to and we've had to go through the training, this is their recommendation. And so we explained that completely to the committee. The committee went through that. That's what the committee voted for. So that's why we are bringing that to you, because that committee voted for that and has brought that to you.
Could I say something about that, Mr. Holmes? As Ms. Smith said, the options of what you can do with students when when a teacher needs to administer some kind of punishment are very limited. We're not going to take away food, snacks, things like that. I personally do not like teachers to tell kids to write. You know, you've got this business of I can remember when they used to say, write so many sentences. We're all against that. You know, we don't want them to look at writing as a punishment. We're limited. Teachers are limited. I've called several teachers about this, and none of them are in favor of this. When you tell a principal, when you make this a board policy where you're saying that you cannot take away a recess or physical activity, now that's not state mandated. Yes, you do have to have so many minutes per week, and we can all get them in. You can have 2 recesses a day. Before, we had 3 15-minute ones with the little ones, 2 20-minute ones with the middle school. That legislation has been changed. That's not in effect anymore. But when you start saying that you can't take away a recess for any reason, example number 1, it says during the school day. I'm looking at the policy. So when it says that, if you've got a child in school, does that mean that you're going to let that child out for recess and physical activity? It doesn't, it says for any reason. I just think there are some things in here that are so limited. And we want to do right by the kids. You know, and taking away 1 15-minute recess is much preferred to, we don't want to put kids in school every time they breathe. You know, taking a recess is really, in the overall scope of things, kind of a minor thing. 1 day. And again, I'm not for punishing a child every day or whatever. I think it's to be used with great discretion. But just to say you can't take the recess away for any reason, folks, that's awfully limited.
I agree with that.
Is that what this is saying?
What it says, if you look at page 13, Tommy, if you look at page 13, it says physical activity during the school day, including but not limited to recess, classroom physical activity breaks, or physical education will not be withheld as punishment for any reason.
Mr. Schumacher, what was the recommendation of your committee?
I presented it to you.
I
It's
mean,
in that
to
packet.
accept this policy?
Yes, and now let me say this. I'm just one vote of that whole committee.
But the committee did vote for
The
it?
committee voted, we have the
Did you-
documentation proof of where they voted, and this is what they wanted to present. And then there was a few that had attended the majority of our meetings that did not attend the last one. And so we sent this out to them in an email and gave them 4 or 5 days to respond back if they had any problems that they seen with this within a certain time frame before we brought it to you. And not one person came back with any negativities with it. So all I'm doing is presenting to you what the committee presented, and what they
Were
voted
there
on.
principals on the committee?
Every principal was invited to be a part of the committee. There was only 1 or 2 that voted, that was there.
And I was one of those that was there, and I guess it was under my assumption that whenever it was recommended by state that we had to do that, it wasn't an option not to do that.
That was the
That was my
answer
impression.
when they came back, was
Yes.
this is already done, we have to do this.
And we can only add to a certain.
This has always been correct me if I'm wrong, this is what's been in place for several years.
on the time that you have to give them that you cannot interrupt. That's what we were going through. You cannot, the minutes that the state sets down that you have to meet each week, you cannot take that away. That you have to give them that part is in law. And so if you start taking one day away from a kid, say a kid has 5 different teachers, and one day one teacher takes it away from one kid, and then the same kid gets it taken away from another teacher, but they're not keeping track of it, how are you going to end up knowing that that kid met the law that week? So that was the discussions that we had, and so that's why they decided to go with this.
Physical education is counted toward that physical
Yes, it is.
activity number.
Yes, it is.
So if they get 55 minutes of PE a week, twice a week, they're getting 110 minutes just in PE if they go twice a week.
Yes.
So as long as we're meeting that then, and beyond that, if we take a recess, we
Absolutely.
should be fine.
You'll be fine, yes, yes, ma'am.
Okay, is there any more discussion?
Yes. On the section on celebration and rewards, I disagree strongly on not allowing foods in on special occasions.
Do what? I'm sorry, I didn't.
On
hear you.
page 10. Celebration and reward section, all foods offered.
Now, we've always had, for the last several years, we've had something in place where they had to, no homemade foods or anything like that. But now, what part are you talking about? Number
1 and 2.
So are we saying on parties, and I'm not trying to be difficult about this, I'm just trying to understand what we've got to enforce. Because whatever you all pass, we're gonna try to go by it, okay? But when it says celebrations and parties, so with parties, everything that's brought in, you know, we went through, it has to have a label, okay, so we knew what was on the label. But now we're saying that for parties, Valentine's party, Christmas party, whatever, that it still has to meet the USDA Smart Snacks. So the way I'm understanding this is that, you know, if parents want to bring in cupcakes from Walmart, they can't do that unless that meets the healthy snack standards, which I don't think that's gonna meet.
It would have to, the way this states, it would have to meet that.
It would have to meet, or they can't bring it in.
It would have to meet that.
But does that not fall under the current one that we have?
The current one that we have
That's,
doesn't state it has to be under the Smart Snacks in
Okay.
Schools law, but they have to have the labels, and it cannot be homemade for the fact of us making sure that we protect our other students that may have allergic reactions.
allergies, right, and I remember when all of that came in, and that's, like you said, that's been in place for a few years
Yes, that's
now.
been in place for
But
a
I
few
wasn't sure if that was the same thing, because I know we have those waiver days that we can use. Would that qualify under
Your waiver
this?
days still fall underneath, you can do whatever you need to do under your waiver
So
days.
could they use waiver days for this as well?
If they want to.
Okay.
But now, you gotta look, your waiver dates are for selling.
Oh,
not
for
just-
selling, okay, okay,
That's
all
what
right,
your
thank
waiver
you.
days are for.
Okay.
I'm talking about just a
I see what
party.
you're saying, I'm just trying to make it all, because it all sounds the same sometimes, and so I'm just trying to make it
If
all,
parents bring something in for Christmas
I
party,
understand.
they're not gonna be able to bring Walmart cupcakes.
Right.
If you can't give them
Did that
jelly
a couple
beans for
years
I
Christmas.
don't eat
No, they,
Yeah,
that,
you can't do
not that they
homemade.
do homemade, been in
Yeah.
effect for a while. But now we're saying they can't bring them from Walmart anyway if they don't meet smart.
Yeah. Okay, any more discussion?
So what, can I ask, what was decided about the PE? I was a little unclear about that.
Yeah,
We ain't voted.
Got a motion to second the vote.
Well, can you take the other break, so that was what?
Not according to this, if they pass this, they will not be able to.
If this passes, you can't.
We will have to.
Well, I
we will
might
have to adopt the
comment.
policy.
I guess I'm thinking it's a late date for us to be here. If this was gonna happen, we should have already been.
I've got proof of where we went through our I meetings in March, 1st of March, and then we started setting up meetings. We had our first meeting within 2 weeks and had everybody together within 2 weeks. And that's and we've met it was a three-time meeting. Everyone had the information for over the course of a month and a half, and each meeting was an hour and a half long. So, I mean, it wasn't like it was just brought off. I mean, we spent some time on this. And the other option we had, that the state told us, they gave us this sample. If we didn't go by this, then write your own 20-page. You know, come up with your own 20-page thing. And folks, in the time frame, there's just no possible way. That's why we went through this piece by piece by piece and went through every line, and everybody had an opportunity and they voted on it. And two of our school board members, you know, were there for that as we went through it. And sometimes it got a little boring reading some of this stuff and going over it, but that's what we had to do. And we met what the state told us that we had to meet. And that's all we were doing, is meeting what they told us that we had to meet. That's all we have done.
Okay, we'll move on.
So what are you still not sure of how we're gonna handle this? I mean, if we say if we vote yes, it says we're gonna go along with this.
What are your options if it fails?
If it fails, the only other option we have is for the committee to get back together and discuss the changes. And the committee is out for summer, and the deadline is June 30 to pass this. And if we don't, then we will not be in compliance, and we will have to wait till August to meet, and at the absolute earliest, put this back on in September. And that would be the earliest if everybody agreed on the meeting in August and everything was worked out fine.
And then the
So,
principals would have to be there, is that correct?
the principals have been invited to every single meeting, yes, ma'am. They have been invited.
Vote. Okay. Waiting on the roll call.
Mr. Thompson?
I'm going with the committee.
Ms. Sharp?
You know,
Ms. Abbott?
Aye.
Mr. Stanley?
No.
Mr. Silcox? Ms. Smith?
No,
Motion fails.
Okay, item 9J, create new position. Board approval is needed to create a new position for the food service program for the 2017-2018 school year. This new position will allow us to more effectively meet the new nutritional guidelines. May I have a motion to create the position of an administrative assistant liaison for the school nutrition program for the 2017-2018 school year? This position will be a 12-month position with salary as established by the Board of Education.
I'll make that motion.
Your second?
second,
Waiting on, any discussion? Waiting on the roll call.
Mr. Stanley?
Aye.
Ms. Smith?
aye,
Ms. Sharp? Ms. Abbott?
Aye.
Mr. Thompson?
Aye.
Mr. Silcox?
Item 9K, request to bid. In accordance with Scott County Board of Education policy number 2.806 concerning bids and quotations, all purchases of supplies, materials, equipment, and contractual services in excess of $10,000 shall be based on competitive bids. May I have a motion to request that the Scott County Finance Director bid for a dishwasher for Scott High School?
Motion.
Second.
Any discussion? Waiting on the roll call.
Mr. Silcox? Ms. Smith?
aye,
Ms. Sharp? Ms. Abbott?
Aye.
Mr. Stanley?
Aye.
Mr. Thompson?
Aye.
Item 9L, approved CTE budget. The Scott County Board of Education needs to approve the CTE budget for the 2017-2018 school year. May I have a motion to approve the following and authorize the superintendent or director to file any necessary budget revisions, addenda, or amendment request? The CTE 2017-2018 budget, Carl Perkins Vocational.
I make that motion.
Second.
Any discussion? Waiting on the roll call.
Mr. Stanley?
Aye.
Mr. Silcox? Ms. Smith?
aye,
Ms. Sharp? Ms. Abbott?
Aye.
Mr. Thompson?
Aye.
Item 9M, permission to apply for grants. The CTE director has requested permission to apply for equipment grants. May I have a motion to grant permission to John Blakely, CTE Director, to apply for equipment grants?
Motion?
Any discussion? Waiting on the roll call.
Ms. Smith,
Aye.
Ms. Sharp, Ms. Abbott,
Aye.
Mr. Stanley, Mr. Thompson,
Aye.
Mr. Silcox.
Item 9N, award bids. The following bids for paving the Scott High School parking lot was received and opened by the Finance Committee and referred to the board for their consideration. Potter Southeast, option number 1, $154,000. Option number 2, $258,000. And Miller Paving Incorporated, option number 1, $180,925. And option number 2, $250,725. May I have a motion to award the following bid for paving the parking lot at Scott High School to
Option number 2.
or option number 2 at the cost of
$250,725.
option number 2?
So you making the motion?
I'll second the motion.
Somebody pocket.
Okay, any discussion? Waiting on the roll call.
Mr. Silcox,
Aye.
Mr. Thompson,
As I read again, the mother of these boys is my first cousin.
Ms. Smith,
Aye.
Ms. Sharp, Ms. Abbott,
Aye.
Mr. Stanley.
Aye.
I would like to add to that though, a little bit more than what the public actually hears today. Because the first thing you're going to hear is that's coming out of my pocket, that's coming out of this, and we'll know it's not. And also, as this has been on the strategic planning for 5 years or more, if we don't do something, when these things are on our planning, then how are we going to be able to add new stuff to that? So why put stuff off, put stuff off, put stuff off? When it comes up to be done, it needs to be done. So that's all I'm saying.
This is from our reserve also too. Yes, sir.
Why don't we go with the highest bid though?
It's
It's
not.
the lowest bid.
Oh, I thought it's
No,
number 2.
Option number 2 is what we took.
Option number 1 was going over, paving over what we got and not
That's it.
tearing nothing
Oh,
up.
no.
So option
We're
number
gonna do it
2
right.
is tearing everything up and doing it all.
We're gonna do it right. We'll fix it right.
And may I say, in defense of those of us who voted against it before, is that we were not aware there was a 5-year plan. We had never received that, didn't know that this was, how this was all laid out. So, and we didn't know it's coming out of reserve, that sort of thing. So we didn't have complete information.
Any more discussion? I guess we've already passed that, though, haven't we?
Yes, we
Okay. Okay, item 9. Before we go to that?
Yes,
So
I would like to say one thing, I'm not going to be a dead horse, I don't want any kind of argument. But I do, as a board member, I do not want to leave the public ill at the school system anyway, the school system, faculty, staff, ill at the public or businessmen or anything either way. So with this situation right here, I think that's a very easy situation to solve to where everybody can get along and everything's fine. I don't think the school board, the school system or anything has a problem with in setting up. I feel if some parents are elderly, they can't get out, I think it's a very good thing. If you guys want to sit up in the middle of the floor, I have no problem with that. Due to what the recommendations of the school, my suggestion would be, I know you guys have a lot of kids, high schools work for you. My personal, I don't think they should be the ones probably set that up. I think it maybe
I'd rather be the one doing it.
adult, someone, but what's the deal with the cost of kids having to pay to set up?
There was no Ms. Rector, I guess when, with our technology department, they were doing the filming.
Technology was one, it was not just that, to get all of it, the awards.
The awards, that's all of it. It was the awards banquet,
And
athletic banquet.
$250, and that's a lot.
it's for all three.
And I wanna let my employees make some money, so I didn't wanna go that route. I'm gonna come do it like I always did it.
And let me say, they wouldn't have had to set up. We'd have got it and sent it out to them, I think. Is that correct, Ms. Rector? what I'm
He
saying
had
now?
asked me about some of the different shots that had been available, with one of the other channels. There had been some different kind of shots available. And I explained that was available through our technology department, was the ones that were doing that. We were willing to share that with them, just like we did with the other station, at the same cost that we did for that. And we offered that to them. They chose not to take that. Again, that's fine. And they still have the opportunity to set up.
What do you guys suggest, what is your suggestion that what Williams proposed against wanting to do?
I don't wanna be in the nosebleed section, I wanna be where everybody else is.
Then I don't think that's a problem.
And it's not a problem as long as we're there in a timely fashion. We can't show up the morning of to do that. So again,
The mother
come
was there
Fridays,
that Friday morning.
come Friday
We'll pass
morning.
that. Let's move to.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So-
On Friday, that's not a problem.
Let's say next year,
Sure.
you guys be there at the appropriate time, if you guys respect that, and everything's good, is that fair?
Absolutely.
You
That's all I
satisfied?
asked them to do
Doc,
this year.
and you take care of this personally, to be there to see where you set up rather than having
I will.
somebody,
Sure.
one of your adults, I guess.
Well, there was a mother there,
Okay.
she filmed it.
I-
Her mother, the girl's mother, she works for me.
I guess what
There
I'm
was a
trying to
gentleman who
say,
was
we
filming
don't
that
want,
Yeah,
There was a gentleman
that
who filmed that day. Wendell?
Wendy.
Yeah, he filmed that
She
that
done-
morning.
That's right, she done her knee.
Yeah, he filmed that morning.
He come that
we
morning.
just don't
The
want,
stuff is already
it
set
seems
up.
like we've got a loss of communication
Yeah.
here. That's the reason I'm
Very
calling on you,
She
Doc,
was
to
talking
meet
about
with
the morning, right?
Miss
Sir,
Rector.
on that,
That girl set it up.
on
her
the
mother.
Friday morning, when they were
And then
supposed to come to
Wendy
sit up,
came
there
in
was a
that morning
student
to
that
film.
came.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is a very easy
It
fix.
is,
Yeah, it's a
it
fix.
is very
It was.
easy.
We'll
This
fix
is
it
It
here.
is.
Well, this year's gonna, it's
Okay.
fixed, okay?
Third's joint.
It'll be fixed, but respect their timely manner of.
I do.
I understand.
She has a hard job.
I understand.
I wouldn't have her job.
I think
don't
we're
care
all
what y'all
satisfied
do.
now, 'cause I don't
But
want
the
you-
point is, I'm just trying to make is, this has been 2 or 3 years ongoing, and I just wanna get it over with.
Well,
If
we
you don't
want
want
you
to
all
sell,
to
we'll
be
stay home.
involved. You all have been involved in this, all the.
Since 1994, man.
For many, many years. And we want it fixed without the animosity, and it can be fixed, just open communication, so we want that to happen.
And I think we're good there. And on the other part, Mr. Newport, I'm like Mr. Beatty, everything, you have laws, you have guidelines. Everything has been followed by the guideline, everything has been followed by the TCA, Tennessee Code Annotated Laws, okay? So we do what the law allows us to do.
Agree or disagree, I have to follow.
It wasn't, it may have been on your policy, but let me give it to you like this, Tom. You're a detective. If I drive down this road and my kid is not in a child restraint seat, you stop me, I get charged with child endangerment, is that correct?
Well, we're not talking about that, what we're talking
Well,
about.
I'm getting to that, I'm getting to that. By this board and by you allowing that woman to continue teaching, you put her in the worst place that you could put her, at the alternative school. You had credible evidence that the lady was on dope.
No, we had no evidence. That's-
Mr. Newport, let me answer that question. In your scenario, if you're pulled over by the cops, you're not sent to jail immediately, okay? You're given a preliminary hearing where you can go to Sessions Court and have it heard by the Sessions Court. And
Well,
if
sure
the
you are.
Sessions Court doesn't they can find probable cause and they can send you to criminal court and then you can be heard by a jury in that circumstance. So it's not like, you have due process rights just like anybody else, okay? It's not like when you get caught, they're gonna send you straight to jail. Do you agree with that? So there's due process rights for you, and there's due process rights that's in the state law for any teacher that's charged with a criminal offense. And this board and this director has to follow that policy
But
and the state law.
He said a while ago, I asked the question, if a kid walked in there with a pill in their pocket, or a pocket knife, zero tolerance, and your answer was?
It is, yes, sir.
And there's an appeal right to
And
that as well.
they appeal right then too also.
That's not nothing's automatic.
Absolutely, they appeal directly to me, sir.
Yeah, that appeals directly to the director of schools, and if they don't agree with that, they can appeal to the school board, I believe.
Yes, sir.
So there's a due process in all of
It
it.
has always followed.
I mean, in my opinion, by allowing that lady to teach period, whether it's pre-K or out here at the alternative,
I do understand.
it's the same thing as child endangerment, because you guys allowed her to continue to teach and knowing what she wants.
Yeah, but the thing about this, Mr. Porter, is we all have opinions, so we all have to follow the guidelines of law.
And I did, sir. I did.
We're good at that.
To the letter.
Be happy.
We gotta move along from this.
And Diane, do you have anything else?
I want to thank the two, Huntsville Elementary, Huntsville Middle School for the school, annuals. I think we've received them from about every school, and I really appreciate it. I looked through it and want to see what's going on in all those schools. So, thank you for that.
I too appreciate that. And I appreciate the problem solving that is being done. It's not an easy task, but I appreciate it.
Luke, you have anything?
I still want Miss Goodman to sign my annual. Mama Bear.
Mr. Thompson?
I would like to iterate again. I'm not fond when we come up to our regular board meeting that we're not together. What we need to do, like on the Shoemaker's thing, we need to work that out at work session. It don't need to get here. And then it pops out of the box like popcorn. That, we have to get with Mr. Shoemaker or whoever that may be, or you can go through Director Hall, because I didn't hear anything about this at the work session that we had a problem on. And see, probably by then they could have worked on it several days or been planning something. I guess what I'm saying, we need to try to do it ahead of time. If we got something we disagree with and he's got a job to do like everybody else, and that's what the committee said, well, nobody is saying anything, well, he brought it to us. And we're taking him because he's our supervisor. He said this is what the committee said. And we know that there's several people in that committee. I guess what I'm saying, I just don't like for it to come up on our regular agenda and then we start. I just don't think that's the proper thing. We need to do it in our work sessions or even before. That's just me.
I need the copy of it early enough to go through
But
it.
yeah,
Thank you. I agree with you.
yeah.
I agree with that too. Like, I wasn't here, I was sick, but regardless, I couldn't vote for.
Yeah, I understand where y'all coming from.
Okay, item 9O, adjournment. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
I second.
Any discussion? Waiting on the roll call.
Mr. Silcox? Mr. Thompson?
Aye.
Ms. Smith?
Aye.
Ms. Sharp? Ms. Abbott?
Aye.
Mr. Stanley?
Aye.